Warmth in the cold. The storm had not relented all night. Rain lashed against the tall windows of Lady Marlene's estate, each gust rattling the panes like an impatient guest. Inside, the corridors were warm with firelight, but the air still carried the damp chill of the season. In the quiet of his chamber, Matthias sat at the edge of his bed, sleeves rolled to his elbows. His hands were raw and bruised from hours of training in the rain, the skin beneath the bandages already showing angry red marks. Carly knelt before him, her brow furrowed in concentration as she secured the last strip of cloth around his left hand. "You push too hard," she murmured, tying a neat knot. "Even the strongest steel breaks if you never let it rest." Matthias' chest tightened, not from the pain in his hands, but from the gentleness in hers. For a heartbeat, he allowed himself to notice the warmth of her closeness, the quiet steadiness of her voice. And then, as always, he buried it. "A Templar's path is not for love. Your oath is your shield." Before he could reply, the heavy oak door opened. Lady Marlene stepped in, her gown brushing softly against the polished floor. The sight before her froze her for a heartbeat. Her son, hands bound in fresh linen, and Carly, damp from the rain, kneeling close to him. "What happened here?" Lady Marlene's voice was calm but laced with worry. She moved closer, her eyes darting from Matthias's injuries to Carly's flushed cheeks. Carly rose quickly, bowing her head. "It was my fault, my lady. We trained outside longer than we should have. I insisted on keeping pace, and he did not stop." Matthias shook his head. "It's nothing." But before he could defend himself, Carly stifled a sudden sneeze. Lady Marlene's frown deepened. "You are chilled through," she said, taking Carly gently by the shoulders. "Go. Get warm, change into dry clothes, and rest. You've done enough for today." Carly hesitated. "My lady, I should finish." "No," Lady Marlene interrupted firmly. "You will have the day to recover. I'll tend to my son from here." Her tone softened as she added, "You've cared for him well, Carly. Now let me care for you both." Carly gave a small, grateful nod before slipping quietly toward the door, her steps light but weary. Matthias watched her leave, his jaw tightening. It would be easier if she were unkind, he thought. Easier to keep my distance. Lady Marlene turned back to him, taking a seat beside his bed. Without a word, she began to unwrap the damp bandages Carly had just secured, her hands gentle but sure. The firelight cast a golden glow over them, the steady crackle of the hearth drowning out the storm outside. "You may be strong, Matthias," she said at last, "but even the strongest need someone to keep them from breaking." Matthias lowered his gaze, the warmth of the room seeping into his bones. Yet beneath it all, there was still the vow, as unyielding as the steel of his blade, a promise he would not break, even for the comfort of a kind maid's arms. Elsewhere in the castle, the workshop smelled faintly of oil, brass, and parchment. Luma leaned back in her chair, rubbing the ache from her wrists. It had been a long morning of adjustments and trial runs, gears sticking, valves leaking, ideas failing before they could spark to life. Still, her lips curled into a small smile as she unwrapped a sweetbread from a folded cloth. "That old fart," she muttered fondly, taking a bite, "always bringing me snacks." Elric's habit of slipping her food during long hours of work was something she'd grown used to and secretly cherished. She took another bite, the warm sweetness grounding her after the endless tinkering. "All the hard work has paid off," she murmured to herself. "Our inventions help so many already. We will never stop, even if it fails 100 times." But then her smile faded. Her thoughts drifted to Bar. 6 months gone now, still no word. "I miss him," she whispered, eyes lowering. "No wonder how he is doing right now." Her mind shifted again, unbidden, to Tariq, the kind, intelligent, noble scholar who had stood beside her through countless projects. Always ready to help her, always helping others, even Princess Florina. He had almost confessed his feelings to her once. She could see it in his eyes. She sighed, leaning her elbows on the table. "I only see him as a friend. I don't want to hurt him, but if he says it, what am I going to do? Tell him about Bar, now, or wait for the right time?" The sweetbread felt heavier in her hand as she took another slow bite, staring at the half-finished blueprint on the table. She didn't have the answer yet, and maybe, for now, she didn't want one. Later that night, Carly's small chamber was warmer than she expected, but the blankets could not stop the lingering chill in her bones. She sat on the edge of her bed, hair unbraided, staring at the faint flicker of her single candle. The storm still whispered against the shutters, a quiet reminder of the moment earlier. Her hands, still faintly smelling of linen and rain, trembled when she thought of Matthias sitting there, letting her tend to him. He had thanked her before, softly, almost reluctantly, yet even then, there was a wall between them. She pulled her blanket tighter around her shoulders, whispering into the dim light, "Why does he keep me so far away?" It wasn't pride, she knew that. Matthias's distance was deliberate, controlled, as if every warm glance was measured and every moment of closeness rationed. He would shield her without hesitation, yet never let her step fully into his heart. A tear slipped down her cheek before she could stop it. She wiped it quickly and lay back on her bed, willing her thoughts to quiet. Somewhere deep down, she feared the answer that whatever vow he carried, it might mean she would always be standing just outside his reach,